How is it going, guys? We are back with another wonderful episode, and we have a requested reaction here by Footsie85, otherwise known as Martin. Um, we have right here Delta Works, an example for the rest of us. The original channel's name is Mega Projects. As always, the link to the original video will be down there in the description section. So why don't you go ahead and cruise down there and check that out if you enjoy this. I'll go ahead and switch my screen over. Boom. We're going to check this out. Find out about the Delta Works. So I believe this is the dam, right, where they blocked off the North Sea, kind of where the North Sea came into whatever that was, right? And then it turned into freshwater lake, I'm assuming, right? And then they put Flavel in there, and a couple other polders and dikes and stuff like that, right? I think so. I believe that is what this is. Could be wrong, so I don't know. We're gonna find out together, though, right?
Hello everybody, welcome back to Mega Projects. I'm your host, Simon Whistler. Just before
Hi,
we get started with this
Simon.
one, it's all about the Zuiderzee and the Delta Works, which are in the Netherlands, where they speak Dutch. There are a lot of pronunciations, which I'm probably going to struggle with, which I'm probably going to get destroyed in the comments for.
Speaking of pronunciations, if you're interested in watching me learn how to speak Dutch, I've been doing Duolingo Dutch learning language course things or whatever. I've been going live every day. You can check it out on my channel. I have like 5 videos out right now. So I've been going live about a half hour, 45 minutes each day, learning Dutch. So that's something to check into if you want to. So
Pronunciations, which I'm probably going to struggle with, which I'm probably going to get destroyed in the comments for. Apologies ahead of time, my Dutch friends. I've got my pronunciation dictionary right there, and I am doing my best.
Oh, it's hard. Mega Projects.
Holland, the home to windmills, clogs, and the kind of cafes where you're not necessarily looking for a coffee. It's also home to one of the 7 wonders of the modern world, according to the American Society of Civil Engineers. Don't worry if you've missed this one, because many do. But what has been constructed over nearly 100 years in Holland is simply astonishing. This is not a mega project about prestige, glory, and records. No, this is something far more important. It's a mega project that has reimagined our fight against climate change, and one that is likely to save countless lives.
And I believe that lately this is probably kind of coming to light a little bit more just because of the climate change situation. And there's this, the whole threat of like rising sea levels and stuff, obviously. So I think people are starting to notice for sure.
It's a project known simply as Delta Works. Around the world today, there's this steadily increasing fear of rising sea levels, but...
And again, I've never seen any of these videos. Anytime I do a reaction video, it's always the first time watching it. So yeah, that's crazy. He just said that right after I did. That's awesome.
Around the world today, there's this steadily increasing fear of rising sea levels, but
Oh, yeah.
the Dutch, they're well ahead of the game. The Delta Works is the largest flood protection system anywhere in the world, comprising dams, storm barriers, dikes, and levees across the Rhine-Meuse-Scheldt Delta region. This is an area of outstanding beauty, but also one of death and destruction when those waters rise.
Oh, yeah.
Now, while we are going to focus on the Delta Works, we're also going to...
I did a reaction to a documentary from, I believe it was 1969, called The Netherlands, A Struggle for Land. And that was one of the most informative films, documentaries, anything that I've seen so far on my Netherlands learning journey that had anything to do with how they build the land. If you're interested in how exactly do they build these dikes, get the polders dry, all that kind of stuff. That is a really good video. Like I said, I did do a reaction to it. I'll try to put like a card or something here to that. Maybe I'll link it in the description section. If not, you just go to my channel. Not hard to find, but yeah. So back to this. Just wanted to put that out there. So in case you were interested.
when those waters rise. Now, while we are going to focus on the Delta Works, we're also going to slip in a bonus mega project as well, and that's the Zuiderzee Works. If you've never heard of the Delta Works, chances are you won't know this one either, but it's your lucky.
You know, Zuiderzee, that is the Southern Sea, I believe. That's the inlet, right? That they blocked off, that they turn into water or fresh water, right? Where they ended up making Flavorland, right? I believe.
Today, 2 mega projects, price of 1, and that price is free because you're watching this on YouTube.
It is free to
Thanks
subscribe.
for watching
And you know what? On the way to the subscribe button, you pass right back the like button. So while you're passing right by that like button, you might as well just smash that on the way down.
While the threat of rising sea levels will affect millions around the world, certain places fall into a critical category. Sites that are both low-lying
Florida,
and heavily
Netherlands,
face enormous challenges
New
related
Orleans,
to climate change. It's estimated that by 2050,
Louisiana,
570 coastal cities around the world will be threatened by sea level rise of at least 0.5 meters, that's 1.6 feet, putting 800 million people at risk. Places like New Orleans, New York, Mumbai, and Osaka
New York,
are in particular danger, but likewise,
Osaka. They didn't even mention Miami.
is the northern coastal area of Holland. The
I don't know what
predicted
Osaka is, though.
climate change and rising sea levels should be apocalyptic enough that everybody is scrambling to ensure these major population hubs are safe, but of course, this isn't happening. Political and financial hurdles are constantly obstructing changes that are needed right now, let alone in 30 years' time. The Delta Works is not simply one project. Along the northern region of Holland, 13 major projects, along with countless small additions such as
Yep. Right here. And then, it's not going to show it. Right here's Rotterdam, I was going to say, because Amsterdam would be like farther up. I guess, which was the camera? Yeah, so it'd be like more right in there would be Amsterdam, right? And then the sea would be up here, Flavorland would be in that area. It's just cut, it doesn't show that part.
Sluices, locks, dikes, and levees were constructed or improved upon between 1954 and 1997. But despite the initial construction having been completed, this is a project that will probably never be finished because the effects of climate change are ongoing. Holland's a delightful country, but it has one significant problem. 20% of the country's landmass lies below the average sea level, with 50% being 1 meter or less above it, including some of its most populated areas. Humans, we have a bit of a habit of building in dangerous locations. I know it's wonderful to have a sea view or a picturesque image of a meandering river, and yes, having that imposing volcano outside your house provides a wonderful backdrop, but around the world, we are becoming increasingly aware that we have built enormous cities in perilous places. The flooding in and around
for sure. Remember Pompeii?
New Orleans during Hurricane Katrina in 2003.
Atlantis. Don't know if it's true or not, real, it's mythical, whatever, but it's funny. Lots of cities built in the wrong spot.
Perilous places. The tragic flooding in and around New Orleans during Hurricane Katrina in 2003 gave us a brief glimpse of just how bad things can be.
Yeah, it is. Well,
even
that's
in the richest
a lot of flooding
in the world. In 1953, one of the worst floods in living memory swept through the North Sea. Across Holland, Belgium, and the United Kingdom, a total of 2,551 people lost their lives, 1,836 of these in Holland alone. The impact on farming and livestock was also catastrophic, but the most harrowing thing was that scientists agreed it could have been so much worse. The response was actually swift. The Dutch government quickly authorized a study to assess their flood defenses. An old plan, known as Delta Plan, first conceived in the 20s and 30s, was quickly revived, and scientists and engineers set about providing a long-term plan to minimize the future risk in coastal areas. What emerged was a plan to drastically reduce the length of dikes exposed to the sea by 430 miles or 700 kilometers. This would be done with a series of dams and storm barriers that would effectively create a shield around the delta.
Yeah, and I think maybe some artificial islands as well, just for more structural, sturdiness or whatever, so that dam or whatever is not just as long by itself, so they would break it up in points with like the artificial islands, I think. Unless that's something else that they were doing, maybe it wasn't necessarily to this, but because then he shows this picture and it's like, pretty sure that is a polder, right? Flavorland, perhaps. I'm not sure.
And storm barriers that would effectively create a shield around the delta.
Zuiderzee.
Okay,
Yeah.
we're gonna...
Zuid is south, right? And then, yeah, see, South Sea? Or no, might be Salt Sea? I'm not sure.
Jump back in time quickly, because before we even come to the Delta Works, we have to look at the Zuiderzee Works first. This in itself was a vast project that began in 1920 and finished in 1975. The name the Netherlands, the alternative used for Holland, literally means...
The alternative used for Holland, I'm not even Dutch, and I know better. I've learned there's 12 provinces in the Netherlands, guys. Holland is 2 of those provinces, okay? For anybody that's not Dutch that is watching this, that is like saying Americans, we all live in Texas, or Alaska. Those are like the 2 biggest provinces or states that we have, right? Their provinces are kind of like our states, So that'd be like saying like that I live in northern Indiana in all reality, but it'd be like saying, oh well, I live in Texas. This is all Texas. It's not all Texas at all. Texas is Texas, right? Holland is Holland. Holland is in the Netherlands, but it's not all of the Netherlands.
1975. The name the Netherlands, the alternative used for Holland, literally means low lands, and the name is incredibly accurate, as we previously...
He said it's the alternative used for Holland. Well, I'm pretty sure like the Netherlands is like the main country, so Holland is just 2 sections of it. It just gets all the fame because of Amsterdam and stuff like that. But I don't know, guys.
Previously discussed. This particular area of Holland here is a patchwork of rivers, inlets, bays, and canals. Just imagine Venice, but on a much, much bigger scale. The Zuiderzee was a large, shallow bay on the North Sea, which stretched around 60 miles, 100 kilometers inland. This was a great source of fishing and, by all accounts, a marvelous place.
C'est Zeta Bay?
Scale. The Zuiderzee was a large shallow bay on the North Sea, which stretched around 60 miles, 100 kilometers inland. This was a great source of fishing and, by all accounts, a marvelous place to spend a lazy weekend with the family. However, it was also murderous. During the most serious storms, the dikes on the Zuiderzee would regularly fail, flooding the area nearby. In 1421, a broken seawall resulted in the deaths of 10,000 people in small villages.
Dang. That's all my subscribers right there. They're all dead. Like 10,000. That's a lot of people. Wow. Side note, that's a cool picture behind him, by the way. It does look cool. Like the way that the fog or the clouds or whatever. That's nice. But yeah, 10,000 people. That's a lot of people.
A broken seawall resulted in the deaths of 10,000 people in small villages around the Zuiderzee. Plans to seal off the bay had appeared in the 17th century, but it wasn't until the early 20th century that technology had caught up with the theory. However, it wasn't just water safety that the Dutch were concerned with. Their very land was disappearing beneath them. Between 1200 and 1900 AD, the Dutch reclaimed 940,000 acres of land from the sea and 345,000 acres by draining lakes, a total of 1.285 million acres.
So it was saying that the Netherlands was losing land. So does that mean that it was just like eroding? It just kept eroding back into the sea, and they're like, "Wow, we got to do something, right?" So then they're like, "You know what? Instead of it just go ahead and erode it into the sea, we're just going to take it back. We're just going to take it from the sea itself. We're going to take back more than we had before, and grow this country." That's cool. That's cool.
By draining lakes, a total of 1.285 million acres.
That's a lot.
Pretty good, I hear you say, but when you consider that they lost 1.4 million acres of land to the Zuiderzee in that time, you begin to understand the scale of the problem.
Wait, what? Hold on.
Million acres. Pretty draining lakes, a total of 1.285 million acres. Pretty good.
But they lost 1.4.
They lost
What?
1.4 million acres of land
Wow.
to the Zuiderzee in that time. You begin to understand the scale of the problem. Holland's was quite simply
Wow. So you guys brought all that land out of the sea, but yeah, like in the course of things, it's actually less than what you had in the beginning, or something like. Right? So is it like as you're unclaiming this part, like something else is sinking? I don't know. That's crazy. I did not hear any of this in another video, but again, I don't know the relevancy of it. So if you do know anything about that, put that in the comment section down below. That'd be appreciated, because it's kind of confusing.
To understand the scale of the problem. Holland's was quite simply disappearing. As early as 1667, the Dutch had mused about potentially damming or draining the Zuiderzee as a way to control flooding, but also to reclaim the land that was quickly being lost.
Okay. I never had seen it like put like this.
In 1916, yet another fierce storm tore through the area, killing 19 people. As they say, this was the straw that broke the camel's back. On the 14th of June 1918, the Zuiderzee Act was passed into law, composed of 3 key objectives. 1. Protecting the area from the effects of the North Sea. 2. Increasing the food supply and cultivating new agricultural lands. And 3. Improving water management by creating a freshwater lake instead of the saltwater bay before it. The first step of this project
probably messed up the economy, or not economy, the ecosystem, which I did say something about that actually in a couple, probably in my other videos, one at least, but maybe 2. Ton of comments, some people are like, yes, that did fuck it up, mess it up, sorry. And some people are like, no, that it just, they adapted, that, these fish left, turned into freshwater, so. Either way, it's interesting.
A freshwater lake instead of the saltwater bay before it. The first step of this project was the Afsluitdijk, enclosed dam stretching at 20 miles, 32 kilometers from Den Oever on Wieringen to Zurich in Friesland, and completed between 1927 and 1933.
Friesland. Friesland is a very, very, very small language, only spoken by about 500,000 people, I believe, in the northeast part of northwest, maybe part of Netherlands, right? Closest language to English, by the way. A lot of people say Dutch is, but technically Frisian is. They just, Frisian is so small. Not a lot of people speak it, and maybe that's why they just say Dutch instead. But Frisian is actually like a gap in between Dutch and English, I believe. Is ancient language. So yeah, very, very interesting.
Total 23 million cubic meters of sand and 13.5
million
cubic meters of till were used in construction, and between 4,000 and 5,000 people were employed, alleviating at least some of the high unemployment felt during the Great Depression.
I don't know what till is. I feel like I should know. Is that the reeds that they would use to make like the mattress kind of things, or? I don't know. Let me know. Put that in the comment section.
Today, the dam would have cost the equivalent of around 700 million euros, and it
wow, that's a
also
lot of money.
created a brand new lake. The process of reclaiming lands, as you might expect, is not particularly easy. The areas of reclaimed lands were known as polders.
Yep, and okay, so the guy that requested this video, I did another video, which he had also requested. It was the Netherlands, the struggle for land, the one I was telling you about. So 1969, I believe, documentary on how they did this and reclaimed, and made Flavorland, which is a polder, right? I was confused. They build sand up and stuff, for the dikes, right? Well, see, then the polders is in between that. Well, I didn't know. I thought maybe they built that up as well. Evidently, they just let it dry out. They drain it, dry it out, and the land will sink about 1 meter. So wherever that seabed is, you're actually going to lose another meter beyond that once it dries out fully. So then you're left with like, you're just like in a bowl, and that's how it's like below the actual sea level. So the camera view is shown right now, I'm assuming is below like where the ocean level would be, which is it's crazy to me. Like I'd probably be scared all the time. I mean, not scared, but nervous. Like in the back of my mind, what if that dam breaks or that dike breaks? It's just crazy, crazy thought. Um, you know, but yeah, just interesting bit of knowledge here. So if it is, if I'm wrong, put it down in the comments down below. Always looking to learn. That is why we're doing this learning journey together. So yeah.
These were created by damming off a portion of the new lake, then pumping out the water. While only partial areas were fully completed by the time the Nazis invaded in 1940, these polders did supply excellent hiding locations.
Yeah, so the Nazi thing, the World War II Germany, that basically put a huge, huge, huge damper on this entire situation. I think it put them behind I want to say 20 or 30 years, by the way. And then, yeah, it's just crazy. I mean, I'll let the man here explain it.
By the time the Nazis invaded in 1940, these polders did supply excellent hiding locations for the Dutch underground resistance during the occupation. After the war, things began to really take off, concentrating on the Flevolands area, a colossal undertaking of around 621 miles, that's 1,000 square kilometers. Water was drained using pumping stations that pumped the water out into the open sea, a process that took between 6 months and a year on the earliest polders. Once the majority of the water had been removed, small ditches and canals were dug to suck out the remaining water. I know that might sound a little strange, but that was what was essentially happening. The ground needed to be dehydrated before it could be used for anything else, a process that caused the land to sink by about 1 meter.
Yes, I was correct. Thanks, Footsie85, Martin. I don't know which one you want to go by. Yeah, so kind of like, think about it like a sponge, right? When a sponge is wet, it's nice and, sponge dries up and it's just like, and it shrinks. So I guess Earth is just like that. It's just like a big ass sponge floating around in space, covered in water and people, and it's crazy.
Once this had been done, reed plants were sown by dropping seeds from low-flying aeroplanes. These are not only strong, sturdy plants, but they worked well to drain the remaining water while providing much-needed air to the grounds. There are now 4 inhabited polders, with a 5th in the planning that will be used as a nature reserve. While agricultural land has been the major beneficiary, numerous towns and villages have also sprung up within the polders, the largest of which, Lelystad, now has a population of just under 80,000. Not bad, since it was only established in 1967, and 10 years before, that area was completely underwater.
Did you say Lelystad is bigger? Because that is, I think that's not true. I think Lelystad is the first, it's the capital of Flevoland, I believe. That was the first part, but Flevoland was done in 2 sections, right? So Lelystad was there, but then afterwards they added on a whole nother section, and I don't remember the name of obviously I'm not from the Netherlands, so I've just heard it referenced in a couple videos, but some comments said that it's actually bigger than Lelystad. So I don't know exactly how factually correct this video is. So if you know anything about that, put that in the comment section down below for sure. Let me know about if I'm right or not.
Established in 1967, and 10 years before, that area was completely underwater.
That part's right.
The last polder was also finished in 1967 and drains the following year, bringing the total reclaimed land to a whopping 1,025 square miles.
And also the 5th one in the works, or whatever he's talking about, I believe that's actually not in the works anymore. I believe that they were realizing that they needed the water there because it would mess up the ecosystem too much, and I believe they just use it to I don't know, just dedicated fishery areas or something. I'm not quite sure, but I don't think they're actually going to put a polder there. I just assuming by some of the comments that I have had on some of the other videos that are similar topics to this. So
bringing the total reclaimed land to a whopping 1,025 square miles. That's 1,650 square kilometers. Now, of course, this means that the Zuiderzee Works and the Delta Works overlapped with each other, which only adds to the scale of the entire undertaking. The first stage of this
Oh,
mountain
yeah,
project,
right.
known as DeltaWorks, began in 1954 with the building of the, and I apologize again, Dutch people, Stormvloedkering Hollandse Essel flood barrier near Krimpen and
Ugh.
Essel, an area that had been partially affected during the 1953 flood. Even with my pronunciation dictionary, Dutch is very difficult. And it is no...
And if you want to see me learn Dutch, I am actually doing that. I've been going live almost every day. Been trying to go every day. I missed yesterday or 2 days ago, and then I did like a double stream. Or no, it was, I don't know. My time schedule's all weird and stuff right now, and you guys are like 6 hours ahead of me anyway. So, but anyways, if you're interested in watching this American here try to learn Dutch, go check it out. Very interesting, and it is starting to get hard for sure.
No exaggeration to say that for the next 47 years, construction didn't cease. When we see how little political motivation there is around the world to implement major improvements like this, it's unbelievable that the Dutch government and the Dutch people had the stamina and perseverance to complete it all. Now, as much as I'd love to take you on a long tour of all the projects, I fear some of you may start dropping off, so let's just focus on two of them.
Well, yeah, so the perseverance he was talking about, man, during all of this, like they had that crazy flood, or maybe, the flood started. I don't know. That was the whole thing, right? And then World War II happened. Yeah, it's just crazy. It's just like they've been trying to do it for like 100 years or something, trying to get this done. So it's nuts.
The Oosterscheldekering is the big boy of the DeltaWorks and its most iconic site. The 5.6-mile, 9-kilometer dam stretching from the island of Schouwen-Duiveland and Noord-Beveland was not only the largest addition to the project, but also the most expensive at 2.8 billion euros. Originally, it had been designed as a closed dam, but public pressure regarding how it would affect marine life in the area led to an alteration, meaning that 2.5 miles, 4 kilometers of the dam now has sluice gates that are usually kept open. The dam is formed of 65 concrete pillars, each between 35 and 38.75 meters high, that's 115 to 127 feet, and they weigh 18,000 tons.
Wow, that's heavy.
These are enormous metal doors that can be opened and closed depending on weather conditions. Now, when I say opened and closed, it's not quite as easy as your front door. These are 42 meters wide and they take about an hour to close. On the 4th of October, 1986, Queen Beatrix officially opened the dam and uttered the words now well known in Holland, something in Dutch, which I'm not even going to try, but in English, it's the flood barrier is closed, the DeltaWorks are completed, Zeeland is safe. The dam has its own electronic security system, so there shouldn't be any kind of human error. According to Dutch law, water levels must be 3 meters above the regular sea level for the doors of the dam to be completely closed. Since its opening, this has occurred.
I gotta hear that again. What was 3 meters above sea level for the doors to close? So they put in water in between the DeltaWorks and the Zuiderzee Waterworks, kind of like a 2-layered thing, and then keeping the water higher in the middle for some reason. Wow.
Completed, Zeeland is safe.
The flood barrier is closed, right? The DeltaWorks are completed, Zeeland is safe. So why would they have it if it's 3 meters above?
The dam has its own electronic security system, so there shouldn't be any kind of human error. According to Dutch law, water levels must be 3 meters above the regular sea level for the doors of the dam to be completely closed. Since its opening, this has occurred 27 times, the last of which happened on the 10th of February 2020 when Storm Ciara rumbled through the area. It now has a yearly running cost of around 7.
Yeah, so that part is confusing to me. I don't know if I'm just not getting it or if he's not explaining it right. Let me know if you can explain that to me, because that was definitely confusing. I'm not going to go back and listen again. It's just I just don't get it. So yeah. And learning, there's a lot of interesting things when you learn, a lot of stuff that's like it's mind blowing, so yeah, this is awesome. I'm very confused on that though. So like for sure, let me know down below.
When Storm Ciara rumbled through the area. It now has a yearly running cost of around 17 million euros, which is a snip compared to the cost of flood damage that we've seen around the world.
I mean, you'd rather be safe than sorry, right? I mean, Maeslantkering. Maeslantkering. I don't know if I pronounced that right. I'm trying to learn Dutch though, so I'm gonna try some of these. Maybe not all verbally, but in my head, I have been trying to pronounce them. As I see like words and stuff like this pop up. So sometimes I do verbalize it. But
the second project we're going to look at is very different.
Maeslantkering.
Maeslantkering is a storm surge barrier.
It's
currently one of the largest moving structures on Earth.
Yes, this thing is like this is neat. Like these right here, straight up, just move. Like this is just a full on circle, and it just comes in and then closes like this, right? And then the other one's on this side, and this just as a massive like pivoting. It just rotates, open and shut. That's crazy. I've seen this in another video.
As I mentioned earlier, there are now significant population centres around the world that are at high risk of rising sea levels. Rotterdam, with its population of 650,000 inhabitants and lying exactly 0 meters above sea level, is just such a place. Initial plans for this area were to reinforce existing dikes. However, by the 1980s, it became clear that not only would it take the best part of 30 years to complete, but it would also involve destroying parts of historic Rotterdam. A new idea was needed.
How does it involve destroying parts of historic Rotterdam just to repair and reinforce the existing dikes? If the existing and their dikes, they're in the water, how's that repair damaging historic Rotterdam unless the dikes themselves are? I mean, I guess with the importance and stuff and the perseverance and the massive amount of people that's worked on that, I guess I could see that, but I don't know.
It would also involve destroying parts of historic Rotterdam. A new idea was needed. At the time, Rotterdam was the busiest
could be the
port
historical
in the world,
part.
so to keep shipping lanes open, whatever was built across the waterway would need to be movable. What we see today are 2 floating gates on either bank, each with a 22-meter high, 72 feet, and 210 meters, 689 feet long steel gate. Each gate then has a set of steel trusses that extend further back in a V shape and act as beams to support and strengthen the whole structure. They are designed in such a way that all of the pressure from the water is transferred to a single joint at the rear, which acts like a ball and socket joint, very similar to what we have in the human hip. But these are no normal mechanical joints. They are the largest joints in the world, with a diameter of 10 meters, 38 feet, and a weight of 680 tons.
The largest in the world. That's crazy.
10th of May 1997, Maeslantkering was opened again by Queen Beatrix. In normal operation, the arms, which each weigh 6,800 tons, remain in their dry docks on land, but when needed, they begin to move across the water towards each other. When the gates are 1.5 meters, 5 feet apart, they are filled with water and slowly submerged to the bottom of the waterway, where they are finally connected, creating virtually watertight protection. All of the decision-making here is done so using computer systems and algorithms. Just in case you're interested, it was 200,000 lines of code for the operational system and another 250,000 for the simulation systems. Like the previous construction we mentioned, this one had initially been programmed to initiate 3 operations when a 3 meter, 9.8 feet rise or above was predicted. However, for testing purposes, that was lowered to 2.6 meters, 8.5 feet. It is expected to be needed once every 10 years, with that number rising to 5 times a year by 2050. In the first 10 years of operation, the Maeslantkering did not need to be closed once. But on the 8th of November 2007, alarm bells began ringing across the region. For the first time, the colossal Delta Works protection system whirled into full operation, with all the storm barriers and dams closing together to protect the Dutch coast. And it totally worked.
Nice.
The Zuiderzee and Delta Works are extraordinary on so many levels. Quite simply, nowhere else on Earth has there ever been a flood protection system like it. The Dutch worked painstakingly from 1927 to 2010, when finally small additions were completed to better protect their country from the danger.
2010? Is that just the most recent time they've maintained stuff, or like they just still continually working on this stuff. 2010 is the last time they finished something. I don't know.
Of the sea, when finally small additions were completed to better protect their country from the danger of the sea. But this is just the start. The Dutch government has assessed that the country must plan for a 1.3 meter rise in the North Sea by 2100 and 4 meters by 2200. The Zuiderzee and Delta Works are merely the beginning of a titanic
4 meters by when? 20.
Plan for a 1.3 meter rise in the North Sea by 2100 and 4 meters by 2200.
Wow. Why the North Sea? Like, it's just not all of it, or just specifically North Sea, or just that's what was referenced because it's relevant to them, I wonder.
The Zuiderzee and Delta Works are merely the beginning of a titanic struggle ahead. They will need to be improved, raised, and replaced as the water continues to rise for hundreds of years. The Delta Works cost in the region of 5 billion euros, but by 2012 it was thought that with additions it may well have pushed up to just below 10 billion euros. The government estimates that a further 100 billion euros will be needed during the current century to fight the steadily increasing battle. These two projects, undertaken by the Dutch, deserve far more recognition than they currently receive. But we live in a world...
You know, I completely agree. I mean, like, that's just incredible. I mean, I mean, they're making land. I mean, that's nuts. That is nuts. They're taming the sea. They're like, yeah, that's just mind blowing. I mean, you know, I mean, not to you guys if you're from there, it's just normal to you, but to me, it's just, I didn't even know anything about this like 6 months ago. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
Undertaken by the Dutch deserve far more recognition than they currently receive. But we live in a world of short-termism. We build glorious monuments of human achievements, but frankly, who cares how tall we can build or how fast we can travel through the skies when vast swaths of our world will be underwater? What the Dutch have built most likely won't work for...
Be like the movie Waterworld. Good movie. Not affiliated by any means or sponsored, you know, obviously, but check it out if you haven't seen it. It's a damn good movie.
Swaths of our world will be underwater. What the Dutch have built most likely won't work for everybody.
When? I didn't go back enough, sorry.
Build glorious monuments of human achievements, but frankly, who cares how tall we can build or how fast we can travel through the skies when vast swaths of our world will be underwater? What the Dutch have built most likely...
I thought he'd mentioned a year, like it'll, like by this point, you know, by this year it'll be underwater, but I guess not.
It won't work for everybody, but they have set a precedent that we should all be following. Maybe by 2050, what has happened in Holland will be the envy of the world. So I really hope you found that video interesting.
Yeah.
If you did, smash that thumbs up button below. Also, please do subscribe. This Mega Projects channel is pretty new and your subscription really does make a difference. So smash that subscription button as well. And thank you for watching.
And you smash mine as well too. My channel is also fairly new. I don't know how. Oh yeah, his channel. This video was posted almost 2 years ago, so it's not new anymore. But I am new, so 5 months, a little over 5 months I've been doing this. I have 10,000 subscribers. Help me get to 100,000. So hit that like button. So these videos will be shared to further like-minded individuals like yourself. It'll help the channel grow. It doesn't cost you anything. It's completely free. And take care, guys. I will see you in the next one. Hopefully you go check out that video that I was talking about. So, all right, take care.